Recubbed, a Lion God fanfic by Lionkingview. Chapter 7. Kiara ran as fast as her breath allowed. The border of the Outlands slowly came into view. Please, Kovu, Kiara thought, the wind rushing past her ears. Please tell me you haven't harmed my father. I know you're good, she thought. I know you are not going to harm a helpless cub. Her aching limbs didn't bother Kiara, not at the moment at least. She just kept running. Then her eyes finally glimpsed what she had hoped to see. Kovu was sitting opposite of Simba and he was talking to him. Hey Kiara. The handsome dark-furred lion greeted Kiara once he had spotted her out of the corner of his eyes. Do you know what this young cub thinks of your little brother? Asked Kovu with a smarmy smile. Kiara was slowly catching her breath. Back at Pride Rock, Kion was looking at Nala. He was observing his cubbified mother as she paced up and down the presentation plateau. As he squinted, Kion could almost make out his mother's adult features. But once his eyes were open again, Nala was unmistakably a cub. Defending the Pride Lands against predators and natural disasters was one thing, but this was different. Kion had become so much more self-reliant, but every now and again he still wanted to have his mom and dad near. Because every now and again, all these responsibilities became too much to bear. It was then nice to know that his parents were still there for him. However, this time his parents were the problem that needed to be fixed. What if he couldn't fix it? What if they would stay that way? He wasn't fit to lead yet. Was Kiara? Could they pick up the pieces and keep the Pride Lands going? Sarabi could still give them advice, but she was getting old. It was only a question of how long she would be around. What are you thinking about? Asked Nala, interrupting Kion's train of thought. I'm not sure, Kion said. You look worried. You don't need to worry though. I know Simba really well. He'll be back before you know it. Sure, he might do something stupid, but he's cool and he always knows how to get himself out of it. Okay, to be fair, he often needs my help, but he's quick on his feet, and getting away from danger is his speciality. I'll mostly think of ways for our parents not to find out. The basic thing is, everything is always right at the end of the day, Nala finished with a self-satisfied smile. Kion thought about this for a few seconds. I guess you're right. I hope, he added. The crystal blue early morning sky of the savannah clashed with the orange-greenish colour patterns of the savannah landscape like a dirtied mirror surface. A moment of introspective silence went by. Kion! Suddenly the voice of a well-familiar mandrill pierced the silence. Kovu, you... Kiara started, made friends with this little rascal? Of course! Kovu completed the sentence while rubbing Simba's non-existent mane. Kovu gave Kiara a wink. Did he know what was going on? If so, how much did he know? Morning, Kiara. Your boyfriend's really cool. He even made a deal with me that if I don't tell anyone that you two are smooching, that he'll convince you not to tell my mom that I almost wandered off outside the Pride Lands border, Simba said with a grin. Kiara had to hold back a chuckle, as she thought it was immensely funny for, of all people, her father to think that Kovu was a cool guy. That sounds good, Kiara said. Your mother was starting to worry, you know. Simba just nodded. Of course she did, he mumbled, a mix of mischievousness and guilt sounding through his voice. We should go back to Pride Rock, Kiara said. Go ahead, I just need to talk to Kovu for a second. What? Are you two gonna smooch again? Simba grimaced and started to make his way back to Pride Rock. Kiara just rolled her eyes and Kovu gave a chuckle. See ya, Kovu, Simba said as he disappeared in the tall grass. Yeah, you too, Simba, Kovu replied. Kovu lowered his voice. Do you know the amount of self-discipline I had to exercise during the last hour? I could have easily slit your father's throat, Kovu ranted. How did you know? Kiara asked. Mannerisms, Kovu said dryly. My mom told me almost everything about your dad. She knew him for a long time. Everything fit the description perfectly, and then the little twerp said his name was Simba. Kovu had, without knowing it, extended his claws into the dead beneath him. That bastard! Kovu growled. Kovu, please calm down. You're scaring me, Kiara said as she looked into Kovu's eyes. Kovu met Kiara's gaze, and just like that, all of the stored-up anger evaporated. I'm sorry, the last few days hadn't been too great, he explained. You know, my mom would have a field day if she knew about Simba's current condition. She would lead an assault on a Pride lands. If I wanted to, I could tell her, Kovu mused. But you won't, right? Kiara inquired. Kovu, please tell me you're not going to tell her, Kiara said. I won't, but, Kovu said, only because he's spared my life before. Plus, he's obviously helpless and oblivious to what's actually going on, Kovu said. Thank you, said Kiara as she nuzzled Kovu and gave him a playful lick. Kovu purred involuntarily, to which Kiara chuckled. I gotta go, said Kiara as she resolved the embrace. Alright, I gotta go too. My mom is waiting for me, said Kovu. Then the two lovers departed. Unbeknownst to them, however, they had been watched from a distance by a familiar egret. When Kiara arrived back at Pride Rock, she was greeted by a stern-looking Kion. Everything alright? Kiara asked. You met with an outsider, Kion said discreetly. I made sure that our father doesn't get mauled, Kiara replied with the same discretion. And how do you know about this anyway? Ono told me, Kion replied. Of course he did, Kiara said. Look, nothing happened. Kovu didn't harm Dad. So what? Kiara didn't get to finish her sentence as Kion interjected yet again. You are on first-name basis with him? Kion inquired. Yes, hissed Kiara, hoping to the elders that Kion wasn't going to give her a lecture about how bad the outsiders were. Kion was, after all, still Simba's son, and if Simba was good at one thing, it was ranting about Zira and her fellow outsiders. Yes, I'm on first-name basis with him because I love him. You wouldn't understand it, she said. What? Kion responded in genuine confusion. Oh, come on, you have feelings for Fuli, and she for you, but you couldn't possibly confront those feelings, Kiara growled. Kion didn't know how to react. Kiara realized that she might have gone a bit too far. Oh gosh, Kion, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I just don't want to get yet another lecture about the Outlands and all that tat. Kion recomposed himself. It's okay, I wasn't judging you, I was just trying to understand the situation, he said. It was almost as if Kion didn't want to acknowledge the hasty insult his sister had hurled at him. The most important thing is that Simba is safe, Kion said. Also, Rafiki has some good news. He developed a remedy for Mom and Dad to use. At first the memory will come back, and then they'll regrow. The only downside is that it will take another 2 days. One for the memory, and one for their growth. Rafiki will administer the cure in an hour. He's just making sure that the remedy has just the right mixture to accelerate the effect, Kion said. A quiet moment passed. So this Kovu, is he... Kion wanted to ask something, but he was interrupted by Kiara. I don't want to talk about it now. Maybe when the others aren't around and we're not in a crisis, she said with a calm smile. Alright, answered Kion. I take it you didn't plan on telling Dad about Kovu anytime soon? Kion asked with an understanding smile. What do you think? Kiara asked. Kion kept quiet. Also, I mean, Dad technically knows, Kiara said as she looked over her shoulder and towards Simba and Nala. The two cubs were playing tag. I'm obviously not going to tell him when he's big again, Kiara chuckled. It wasn't long before the rest of the Lion Guard and Rafiki assembled in front of the royal den. Nala and Simba are going to be looked after by the lionesses, so we can talk freely, explained Kion. That's good, because I'm in no mood of being called names by Simba right now. King or not, sighed Fuli. For a moment, Kion just stared at Fuli. Her black spots and her yellow fur looking pretty as always. He turned his head away once she glanced back at him. Rafiki will administer the antidote shortly. From there on out, they will quickly fall asleep. Once they wake up, they will hopefully have regained their memories. It will be one more night until they've grown back too, Kion said. Poa, that sounds fascinating, said Beshti. Let's just hope this works, and Simba and Nala don't get turned into mutants or something, joked Bunga, earning him a groan and an eye roll from Fuli. I don't think Rafiki is going to give them a mutation cocktail, she said. Protecting the king and queen in this time frame will obviously be our highest priority until they are back to normal, Kion went on. So, throughout this day and the upcoming night, we'll take shifts guarding them. I'll take the first shift, then Bunga, Fuli, Beshte, Ono, and me again. Any objections? Kion finished. No, came the unified answer from the Lion Guard. Alright, then you know what to do. Till the Pride Land's end, Kion said. Lion Guard defend, finished the rest of the guard. End of chapter 7.